12 discoveries, 4,500 years of secrets, one pyramid that refuses to give up its mysteries. You've seen the documentaries about ancient ramps and pharaoh tombs. But deep inside the Great Pyramid, cutting-edge technology keeps finding things that make no sense. 40-meter voids that shouldn't exist, bronze hooks hidden in sealed shafts since 2600 BC, granite chambers that ring like giant tuning forks, air passages that don't carry air. The more we scan, the stranger it gets. If you value documented Viking and Norse-era history like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also comment from which city you're hearing this from. This script is researched and factual, using sources from Nature Communications and archaeological prospection. Now back to the story. Number 1. The Scan Pyramids, Big Void. Discovered 2017, located 40 meters above the Grand Gallery. 1 tomography revealed it. 3 independent teams confirmed it. The cavity measures at least 40 meters long with a similar cross-section to the Grand Gallery itself. Nagoya University used plates containing a chemical film sensitive to muons, nuclear emulsion technology borrowed from particle physics laboratories. The KEK Institute transported and reassembled a sophisticated electronic instrument piece by piece inside the Queen's chamber, each component carried through narrow passages by hand. French teams from CEA installed gaseous muon detectors outside the pyramid's north face, requiring months of calibration. Each method detected the same impossible anomaly from different angles, eliminating measurement errors. The void spans at least 30 meters in length, possibly longer. Some readings suggest 40 meters or more. Its height remains unknown, though. Cross-sectional analysis indicates it mirrors the Grand Gallery's proportions. No corridors connect to it, no known way to access it. The Discovery team used cosmic ray particles, muons created when high-energy particles from space crash into Earth's atmosphere at 99.9% the speed of light, to map density differences through solid limestone. Muons penetrate matter like X-rays through human bodies, but they can pass through hundreds of feet of rock. Muons are partially absorbed as they rain down onto structures at a rate of 10,000 particles per square meter per minute. Where more muons made it through, they traversed less material, revealing empty space. The statistical analysis required processing billions of muon impacts over 18 months of continuous measurement. The void is the first large inner structure discovered within the 4,500-year-old pyramid since the 1800s, a gap of over 150 years without major internal discoveries. Project leader Mehdi Tayyoubi called it the discovery of the century. Egyptian Ministry of Tourism initially dismissed the finding, claiming in a November 2017 statement that the existence of several void spaces inside the pyramid is not a new thing. Minister Khaled al-Anani later admitted during a press conference that the void was new and larger than known cavities, and promised continued scientific investigation. But here's what baffles everyone. The void sits in perfect alignment above the most sacred chamber, positioned exactly where ancient Egyptian cosmology would place a stellar pathway for the pharaoh's soul journey to the constellation Orion. Void's location suggests deliberate placement, not accidental construction. Purpose unknown. Contents unknown. Sebastian Procureur of the French alternative. Energies and Atomic Energy Commission confirmed its function remains a mystery to those who have studied it, stating, "We still have some unpublished findings about the void which we will release in the near future." 450 feet of solid rock guards its secrets. The pyramid just got bigger. Detected. Confirmed. Hidden. Number 2. The North Face Corridor, found March of 2023, 9 meters long behind the original entrance chevrons. The discovery began with thermal anomalies detected in 2016. Infrared thermography showed temperature variations behind the limestone blocks. Using a high-frequency ground-penetrating radar, the Scan Pyramids team found an opening in the joint behind the lower blocks of the chevrons. The Technical University of Munich conducted radar and ultrasound campaigns between 2020 and 2022. The corridor runs horizontal, probably slopes upward, sits between 17 and 23 meters above ground level. Precise measurements, 0.7 to 2 meters from the north face, horizontal or sloping upwards with corridor-like shape. German engineer Rudolf Gantenbrink first suspected something there in 1992. His robot Upuaut detected thermal signatures that couldn't be explained. 31 years later, teams inserted a 5mm endoscope through limestone blocks. They drilled through joints between the chevron stones, following radar guidance. This revealed the very first images of what turned out to be not only a void or a cavity, but an unforeseen architectural structure. 2 meters wide, 2 meters tall, carved with precision. The corridor measures 9 meters in total length, running parallel to the descending corridor below. The footage shows smooth walls, deliberate construction, dressed limestone surfaces. Tool marks visible on walls indicate copper or bronze implements. The chamber was sealed when the pyramid was completed. The function of the chamber is unknown, although such corridors often lead to further archaeological discoveries. Egyptian Archaeologist Zahi Hawass believes something important lies beneath it, telling CBS News, "I really think there is something important underneath the corridor. It could be the real burial chamber of Khufu." Another pathway to nowhere. Another question without answers. Carved, sealed, waiting. Number 3. The Dixon relics, retrieved 1872 from the Queen's Chamber northern shaft. British engineer Wayman Dixon and colleague James Grant chiseled through sealed limestone after finding a crack in the south wall. They used iron bars to probe the darkness. Dixon hired carpenter Bill Grundy to cut through solid stone. Dixon's probe managed to loosen 3 objects among rubble in the shaft: a bronze grappling hook, a granite ball, and a short rod described as cedar-like by Dixon. The shaft extends 7 feet horizontally before turning upward at a 32-degree angle. The bronze hook weighs exactly 1 pound, measures 5 inches long, shows deliberate construction with riveted joints. 2 prongs curve backward like barbed fishing hooks. The surface shows ancient patination, green oxidation from copper content. The granite ball measures 2 inches in diameter, shows wear marks and a deliberate indentation on one side, possibly used as a hammer. Weight, exactly half a pound. The cedar rod measured 12 inches long, square cross-section, showed file, marks along its length. The wood disappeared from British Museum storage between 1972 and 1993. The remote location of the artifacts within the pyramid would seem to leave little doubt that they were placed at the time of the pyramid's construction, around 2600 BC. Charles Piazzi Smith, Dixon's friend and correspondent, speculated in 1877 that the objects were crude tools inadvertently dropped into the shaft by pyramid builders, but modern analysis proves otherwise. Researchers Robert Bovall and Adrian Gilbert suggested the bronze hook resembles a Pesh and Kef device used in opening of the mouth ceremonies, rituals that would release the deceased king's jaw and allow him to eat, drink, and breathe in the afterlife. Czech Egyptologist Dr. Zbigniew Jaba and Dr. I.E.S. Edwards of Oxford University supported this interpretation. But why hide ritual tools in a 7-foot passage that leads nowhere? The objects returned to museum display in 1993 after researcher Robert Bovall's persistent efforts. For nearly a century, as it was later learned by researcher Robert Bovall, the relics remained in the possession of the Dixon family. 3 artifacts, 25 centuries of darkness, no explanation. If you value documented archaeological discoveries like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also comment from which city you're hearing this from. This script is researched and factual, using sources from Nature Communications and Ancient Origins. Now back to the story. Found, lost, rediscovered. Number 4, the star shafts, 4 narrow passages discovered between 1610 and 1872. Exact purpose unknown after 4 centuries. The King's Chamber shafts were first documented by English traveler George Sandys in 1610. Wayman Dixon discovered the Queen's Chamber shafts in 1872, finding them sealed behind wallstones. Star shafts, sometimes called air shafts, are 2 narrow ducts leading out of the King's Chamber of the Great Pyramid of Giza, or to similar shafts in the walls of the Queen's Chamber. King's Chamber shafts reach the outside after 235 feet of tunneling through solid limestone. Queen's Chamber shafts stop dead in limestone blocks after 213 feet. Each shaft measures about 20 centimeters square, too narrow for humans, perfectly sized for something else. The northern King's Chamber shaft rises at 31 degrees, makes an unexplained semicircular diversion before returning to true north. The southern shaft points directly at Orion's belt, specifically the star Al-Nitak. Alexandre Badawi and Virginia Trimble proved this stellar alignment in the 1960s. The Queen's Chamber southern shaft aligns with Sirius when extended through the pyramid's structure. In 1992, German roboticist Rudolf Gantenbrink sent Upuat-2 robot up the southern Queen's Chamber shaft. The robot, named after the ancient Egyptian god of war, carried cameras and measuring equipment. The project resulted in the finding of a sealed block, a sort of door or barrier with 2 metal loops at the end of the southern air shaft of the Queen's Chamber. The limestone block measures 20 by 16 centimeters, sits 213 feet from the chamber. The door became known as Gantenbrink's door. Twin copper handles protrude from its surface, green with ancient patination. In 2011, the Jetty Project robot drilled through the limestone. The robot featured an articulated frame capable of expanding and contracting for tight confines. Its snake-mounted camera could bend and see behind itself. The camera revealed another door behind. The first, positioned exactly 6 inches away. The film reveals intricate colored markings on the floor of a small, hidden chamber between the doors. Red ochre symbols painted on dressed stone, hieroglyphs not seen for 4,500 years. The chamber measures 6 by 9 feet, perfectly carved. Quarry marks from copper tools remain visible on walls. Shafts of this nature have not been discovered in any other pyramids as of yet. 4 passages, 2 block doors. Ancient symbols waiting in darkness. Tunneled. Blocked. Marked. Number 5. The granite coffer's resonant frequency, measured multiple times at 438 to 440 hertz. The coffer sits alone in the king's chamber, carved from a single block of red. Aswan granite. External dimensions, 7.5 feet long, 2.7 feet wide, 3.4 feet high. Wall thickness, exactly 3 inches. Internal volume, precisely 1,166 liters. The coffer is said to resonate at 438 hertz and is at resonance with the resonant frequency of the chamber. Musician Paul Horn brought precision tuning equipment in 1977, determined to solve the acoustic mystery. Horn tuned his flute to this tone which was emitted, which turned out to be A, 438 cycles per second. The granite box weighs 15 tons, carved with precision tools that left no tool marks, perfectly straight edges, precise angles, smooth. Interior surfaces. The granite contains 30% quartz crystal content. When struck, quartz generates piezoelectric charges, electrical energy from mechanical stress. But here's the mystery. Striking the coffer inside the king's chamber results in a deep bell-like sound of incredible and eerie beauty that reverberates for over 30 seconds. The chamber amplifies this specific frequency while dampening all others. Sound engineer Tom Danley measured the phenomenon extensively. The entire granite complex acts as a resonating system. The 5 relieving chambers above the king's chamber contain 43 granite beams, each weighing up to 90 tons. Each beam resonates sympathetically when the coffer rings. Engineer Christopher Dunn measured chamber acoustics extensively, discovering that the walls do not sit on the granite floor but are supported outside and 5 inches below floor level, acoustic isolation. The floor itself sits on corrugated limestone, not solid bedrock, allowing the entire structure to vibrate freely. Lying in the sarcophagus, one finds it's nearly impossible to hum any note other than ones related to the main resonances. The frequency matches F sharp, the same resonance found in water molecules under pressure in planetary ley lines. Napoleon's men discharged pistols at the top of the Grand Gallery and noted that the explosion reverberated into the distance like rolling thunder. Why build a resonating chamber? What activated it? The coffer rings like a bell waiting for its purpose. Carved, tuned, singing. Number 6. The Western Cemetery Underground Anomaly, detected 2024 using ground-penetrating radar. An electrical resistivity tomography. The Discovery Zone sits in unmarked desert west of the Great Pyramid, where mastaba tombs dot the landscape like ancient suburbs. Between 2021 and 2023, researchers from Higashi Nippon International University and Tohoku University in Japan and the National Research Institute of Astronomy and Geophysics in Egypt analyzed this empty area. They targeted a flat, rectangular section of sand that seemed deliberately void of surface structures. The surveys revealed something strange beneath unmarked desert. Ground-penetrating radar works by directing radio waves into the ground and measuring reflections when they bounce back. Electrical resistivity tomography measures how electrical current flows through different materials. Sand, stone, or empty space conduct electricity differently. Under the Western Cemetery, west of the Great Pyramid, these scans revealed a shallow L-shaped structure spanning an area 10 meters, 33 feet by 15 meters, between 0.5 and 2 meters below the surface of the desert. The L-shape shows sharp, deliberate angles impossible in nature. Below that sits a larger structure between 3.5 and 10 meters deep, covering an area 10 by 10 meters. The shallow structure, which lies at a depth of up to 6.5 feet, is L-shaped and measures around 33 feet by 49 feet. Resistivity measurements show it was deliberately filled with homogeneous sand after construction, evidence of intentional backfilling. The deeper structure shows high electrical resistance readings that could indicate sand fill but might also signal a void, an empty chamber waiting beneath 4 millennia of accumulated desert. Lead researcher Motoyuki Sato confirmed the alignment of both structures suggests the shallow L-shape may have been an entrance to the deeper complex. Excavations to determine what the L-shaped structure is are now underway, though Egyptian authorities remain cautious about disturbing the site. Peter Dermanuelian, an Egyptologist at Harvard University who wasn't involved in the research, told Live Science the discovery represents something unprecedented. I'm not sure just what this anomaly represents yet, but it is certainly worthy of further exploration. 4,000 years of burial, 2 connected structures, no surface markers, buried, connected, L-shaped. Number 7, the missing capstone, absent since recorded history began. Initially standing at 146.6 meters, 481 feet, the Great Pyramid was the world's tallest human-made structure for more than 3,800 years. Today it measures 454 feet, 30 feet of apex missing, a flat platform you can walk across. Since the time of Christ, people who came to look at this huge monument stated, according to some records, that it was missing its capstone. Arab historian al-Masudi wrote in the 10th century that the pyramid lacked its pyramidion when he visited. The pyramidion should be gold-covered limestone or granite, weighing several tons. Ancient Egyptian texts called them benbeneh, sacred stones connecting earth to sky. Other pyramids had them. The pyramidion of Amenemhat III, 1860 BC, 1814 BC, from the Black Pyramid at Dashur, sits on display at the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. It is made of black granite and weighs about 6 tons. Its surfaces show hieroglyphic inscriptions and solar symbolism, but the Great Pyramid's capstone vanished without trace. Calculations based on the pyramid's 51-degree, 52-minute slope angle suggest the missing pyramidion measured 6 feet square at its base, stood 9 feet tall, weighed approximately 8 tons. The capstone was either made of gold or covered by a layer of gold. The reason? That too is an enigma. Pliny the Elder wrote that Egyptian pyramidions were covered in electrum, a gold-silver alloy that blazed like fire in sunlight. The whole pyramid was actually covered with polished limestone and with its golden capstone. It shone at night like a bright star on Earth, which would have been visible from space according to calculations by Christopher Dunn. The casing stones reflected moonlight like mirrors. At dawn, the golden capstone caught first light and announced the sun's return to the Nile Valley. Egyptian authorities planned to install a golden capstone for Millennium celebrations in 2000, complete with laser light shows and global television coverage. Then suddenly, without any explanation, when the time came, the ministry involved canceled its plan. Some researchers speculate they discovered the electromagnetic consequences of completing the circuit. The apex remains flat, the pyramid incomplete. Golden. Missing. Canceled. Number 8. The subterranean chamber's dead-end passage. A 53-foot tube cut into bedrock with unknown purpose. 100 feet beneath the pyramid's base, carved into solid limestone bedrock, sits the so-called subterranean chamber. The chamber remains unfinished, tool marks visible on walls, floor rough-hewn, ceiling blackened by ancient torch smoke. From its southeast corner extends the dead-end passage, running south for exactly 53 feet before stopping abruptly in solid rock. British engineer Rodney Hale had suggested that this enigmatic feature might have functioned as a resonance. Tube. The passage runs south from the unfinished chamber, carved and dressed along its entire length despite leading nowhere. Every surface shows deliberate toolwork, copper or bronze implements that left parallel scoring marks. The tunnel maintains precise dimensions, 4 feet high, 3 feet wide, perfectly straight for its entire length. In 2019, acoustic engineer Andrew Collins crawled inside with recording equipment during the Great Pyramid experiment. He led a party of 5 researchers into the depths, placing recording devices at the passage entrance. Collins crawled the full 53 feet on hands and knees, taking a BlackBerry Classic with high-quality microphone. The passage generates infrasound, sound frequencies below 20 hertz, below the threshold of human hearing, but capable of affecting consciousness. Rodney Hale examined more closely its recorded 5.13 hertz resonant frequency. What he discovered is staggering in its implications, for it would seem certain that although infrasound was indeed generated in the range of 5 hertz within the tube, its amplitude increased noticeably when Collins climbed inside the tube. The human body acts as a resonating chamber, amplifying the tube's infrasonic output. On exiting the tube, sound levels fell back to baseline. Infrasound at these frequencies affects brainwave activity, alpha rhythms, theta states, consciousness alterations. The largest amplitude sound frequency recorded in the King's Chamber was at 49.5 hertz, nearly 10 times the dead end. Passage frequency. Similar infrasound technology appeared in Neolithic Britain's West Kennet Long Barrow and Papua New Guinea tribal ceremonies. The effects of infrasound might well have been known to our ancestors as early as the Upper Paleolithic Age, some 45,000 years ago. 53 feet of precisely carved tube. Infrasound generation, consciousness, alteration, carved, resonating, consciousness. Number 9. The King's Chamber acoustic design, engineered to resonate at specific frequencies with mathematical precision. The chamber sits at the pyramid's heart, built entirely of red-as-one granite containing 30% quartz crystal. During acoustic testing by sound engineer Tom Danley, a dangerous resonance developed that threatened the structure's stability. High Q resonances at low frequencies can be very exciting. The chances of something bad happening are small, but the consequences are large. Not wanting to be known as the first person in modern times to be buried in the pyramid, Danley moved his equipment to safer locations. Sound engineer Tom Danley measured the chamber extensively. The granite beams above the King's Chamber were like baffles in a speaker, according to Boris Said during his interview with Art Bell. The chamber measures exactly 10.5 by 5.2 by 5.8 meters, dimensions that create perfect acoustic ratios. Granite walls contain high quartz content that generates piezoelectric effects under pressure. The King's Chamber, with the so-called relieving chambers above, is purpose-built and is called the Resonance Tower, with a total height of 21 meters. the total wavelength. Above the chamber sit 5 relieving chambers containing 43 granite beams, each weighing up to 90 tons, quarried 600 miles away at Aswan. The frequency matches 16.2 hertz, exactly twice the Earth's Schumann resonance frequency of 8.1 hertz at Giza. The King's Chamber was built for a resonance frequency of 16.2 hertz, 2x 8.1 hertz. The Schumann resonance represents Earth's natural electromagnetic frequency, generated by lightning discharges in the atmosphere. At Giza's latitude, this frequency measures precisely 8.1 hertz. The chamber was tuned to double this frequency, a harmonic resonance with Earth itself. Walking across the floor produces deep reverberations that can be felt through feet and chest. Note, also, that walls of the chamber do not sit on the granite floor, but are support outside and 5 inches below the floor level. The floor sits on corrugated limestone support blocks rather than solid bedrock, allowing maximum acoustic isolation and vibration. The entire chamber was acoustically isolated and tuned like a giant musical instrument. Purpose unknown. Engineering confirmed, measured, tuned, isolated. Number 10. The oversized granite coffer mystery, impossible to move through existing passages. The majority of the stones are not uniform in size or shape and are only roughly dressed. The outside layers were bound together by mortar, but the granite coffer presents a logistical impossibility that has puzzled engineers for centuries. The box measures 7.5 feet long, 2.7 feet wide, 3.4 feet high. The ascending passage measures 3.5 feet wide, 3.8 feet high. The coffer cannot fit through the passage. Mathematical calculations prove the coffer exceeds passage dimensions by 18 inches in length and 6 inches in width. The granite block weighed approximately 30 tons before carving. Other blocks were imported by boat on the Nile. White limestone from Tura for the casing, and blocks of granite from Aswan, weighing up to 80 tons for the King's Chamber structure. The coffer was carved with precision tools that left no visible tool marks, perfectly straight edges, precise angles, smooth interior surfaces. Wall thickness maintains exactly 3 inches throughout. Volume calculations show it held exactly 166 liters. The granite came from quarries 600 miles south at Aswan. Transportation required boats capable of carrying 30-ton loads down the Nile, then dragging blocks across desert to the Giza Plateau. Carving required copper or bronze tools harder than the granite itself, and technological impossibility according to conventional archaeology. Yet the evidence sits before us, a perfectly carved granite box that couldn't have been moved to its current location through any known passage. But how did builders move a coffer larger than the only access route? 3 theories persist. The chamber must have been built around the coffer, requiring construction techniques that defy explanation. Or the coffer was assembled inside from smaller pieces, though no joint lines exist in the solid granite. Or passages were sealed after installation, though no evidence supports this theory. The Grand Gallery measures 153 feet long and 28 feet high, large enough to accommodate the coffer's movement. But the ascending passage connects the gallery to lower chambers through a bottleneck impossible to navigate. 3 possibilities. No definitive answers. Oversized. Impossible. Installed. Number 11. The Queen's Chamber copper pins, discovered 1992 behind limestone doors, purpose unknown after 30 years. According to Boval, it was marshaled into 2 stages. The first stage, to improve ventilation in the Great Pyramid using the shafts in the King's Chamber, and the second stage to explore the presumed abandoned shafts in the Queen's Chambers. Gantenbrink's robot Upuat II, named after the ancient Egyptian wolf god who opens the ways, carried cameras and sensors through the narrow shaft. The robot revealed the sealed limestone block at shaft's end. 2 copper pins protruded from the wood jars, each measuring 3 inches long, a 1/2 inch diameter. Each pin showed green patination, ancient oxidation from 4 millennia of chemical reaction. The copper was pure, not bronze, analyzed through electronic spectrometry. The pins were inserted during pyramid construction, sealed when the passage was closed. Chemical analysis revealed the copper came from mines in the Sinai Peninsula, 200 miles from Giza. The pins show no tool marks, no filing, no modification, cast or forged to exact specifications. The southern shaft in the King's Chamber points to the god Sahu Osiris, central star of Orion's belt, and the northern shaft points to Alpha Draconis, the pole star in 2600 BC. The Queen's Chamber southern shaft, if extended, points to Sirius, the star sacred to the goddess Isis. 20 years later, the Jetty robot drilled a hole beside the pins using a micro-drill. The camera head measured smaller than a quarter, equipped with LED lights and macro lenses. The camera revealed red ochre hieroglyphs on chamber floor behind the door, symbols painted with iron oxide pigments in sacred red. The chamber measures 6 by 9 feet with 7-foot ceiling height. The symbols remain undeciphered despite analysis by leading Egyptologists. Many questions exist regarding what the door implies. The pins might be handles, ritual objects, or symbolic keys to the afterlife. But why copper? Why these exact dimensions? Why sealed behind stone doors that hide painted symbols? 2 pins. Ancient copper. Undeciphered. Copper. Patinated. Undeciphered. Number 12. The mathematical precision that encodes Earth's dimensions, discovered through precise measurements spanning centuries. The pyramid was built some 4,500 years ago, during the 4th dynasty of ancient Egypt's Old Kingdom. Base perimeter, 921.46 meters. Original height, 146.6 meters. Height ratio to base circumference, 2p. The pyramid encodes the value pi to 6 decimal places. Mathematical knowledge, supposedly, unknown until ancient Greece. The slope angle of 51 degrees 52 minutes creates a ratio where the apothem equals the radius of a circle whose circumference equals the base perimeter. This relationship requires advanced understanding of both pi and phi, the golden ratio. Flinders. Petrie measured the structure in 1880 or 1882 using precision instruments. His measurements remain the most accurate survey ever conducted. Petrie noted in 1880 the 4 sides of the pyramid to be very distinctly hollowed, and that each side has a sort of groove, especially down the middle of the face, a concave curvature, invisible to casual observers but measurable with instruments. The base equals exactly half a minute of latitude at the equator, scaled by 43,200. 1 minute of latitude equals 1 nautical mile. The pyramid's base perimeter in Egyptian royal cubits equals Earth's polar circumference, scaled by 43,200. The height in royal cubits equals Earth's polar radius, scaled by the same factor. The ancient Egyptians encoded Earth's exact dimensions, in stone 4,500 years ago. The structure encodes the golden ratio phi in its internal chambers. The Queen's Chamber sits exactly halfway between base and apex. The Great Pyramid sits at the center of Earth's landmass. Longitude and latitude lines through Giza contain more land than any other location on Earth's surface. The coordinates? 29,197,902 degrees north. Match the speed of light. 299,790, 458 meters per second. The pyramid's orientation aligns with true north to within 0.05 degrees, more accurate than most modern buildings. The foundation blocks weigh 15 tons each, fitted together with gaps smaller than credit cards. Mathematical precision. Beyond coincidence, knowledge beyond the conventional timeline. Built, measured, encoded. Recent ground-penetrating radar surveys near Khafra's pyramid revealed something that reframes everything we just heard. Using synthetic aperture radar, SAR tomography, scientists on Corrado Malanga of the University of Pisa and Filippo Biondi of the University of Strathclyde scanned the Khafra pyramid and uncovered what appears to be an underground system stretching 2 kilometers beneath all 3 major pyramids. 8 vertical wells descending 648 meters. 2 massive cubic chambers, each measuring 80 meters on each side. The Giza complex isn't 3 separate monuments. It's one integrated system with 12 mysteries still waiting in the dark.